Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for another experiment today. Today I'm going to try out Watermixable Oil Paints for the first time. If you know me, you probably know that I love working with oils, but the fumes and the smells of paint thinner and mediums have become a real problem for me recently, so it was time for me to look for some alternatives. And so I got 2 tubes of water-soluble oil paints, titanium white and lamp black to be precise, and that's just what I usually do when I want to test out new paints or a new brand of paints. I get a tube of black and white and paint some monochromatic pieces to see if I like them before I go and buy more colors. Now what do we need to get started? Really, you only need some paints, water, a couple of brushes and some paper towel and you're good to go. Apparently there are also mediums that are specifically made for water-soluble oil paints, and some people say that the paints work even better if you use them with these mediums instead of water, but I wanted to keep it as simple and fume-free as possible, so I only used water today. As water-mixable oil paints are basically just normal oil paints that have been changed on the molecular level to be soluble in water, you can also use painting mediums that you would use with your normal oil paints, such as linseed oil, liquin or alkyds in general that speed up the drying time. What you have to keep in mind though is that if you introduce these mediums catered to normal oil paints to your water mixable oil paints, you can't use water in the mixture anymore. And as water mixable oil paints are just like regular oil paints until you mix them with water, of course, you can also use them alongside your regular oil paints. So if you want to use both kind of paints together in one painting, that's not a problem, as long as you use a regular oil painting medium. As I said, I only use water, so I can't really compare how these paints work with the medium, but I can tell you how they worked with just water. So in the beginning they just feel like normal oil paints, but I felt like they became tacky a lot faster than my usual oil paints, which made it a little bit difficult to blend them and create nice smooth transitions between the values, especially when I wanted to rework an area that I had already painted. When I work with my traditional oil paints, I usually lay down all my colors first and then I blend them, but I feel with these it's better to blend them immediately. I can't tell you if it's just this particular brand of paint that I'm using or if it would have been different had I used a medium, but yeah, that's just my experience with these paints and the way I used them. I also found it a little bit difficult at first to figure out how much water I need to add to the paints to get a nice consistency, but that is a problem that always occurs whenever I try a new painting medium. They're just all a little bit different and you just have to get used to their different characteristics. But after an hour or so of working with them, it was no problem anymore. What else can I tell you about these paints? Maybe we can talk about the drying time. At first I thought they would dry faster because they became so sticky so quickly, but it still took them several days to dry completely, so I didn't stop the time or pay too much attention to it, to be honest, but I don't feel like they dry any faster or slower than regular oil paints. I also used these paints a la prima for this piece, which means that I used them wet on wet and I finished it in one session. I would usually go and add at least one more layer to deepen some shadows and to add more details, but this was really just meant to be a practice piece and I didn't want to spend too much time on it. I think in total this took me 3 hours, and of course it's not a masterpiece, but it helped me to understand the paints and to figure out how to work with them. So why would you buy water mixable oil paints, or who would I recommend them for? In short, if you want the painting experience of oil paints without any of the fumes and the toxicity of paint thinners or mediums, then I would recommend you give water mixable oils a go. Also, cleaning brushes was so much easier, just a little bit of soap and water and you're done. I found them to be even easier to clean than my acrylic paints because they didn't dry so fast and they didn't stick to the bristles as much. So if you have been considering oil painting but have been too scared to try it because of the toxicity and the fumes and additional mediums and paint thinners you need, or maybe you're even sensitive to some of these products, I think they are a really good solution to your problem. I will certainly get some more colors, and I might even substitute my regular oil paints with them. So I think that was everything I can tell you about these paints, but please take the information with a grain of salt because I'm certainly not an expert. I've only used them once, and that was just my experience and what I have learned about them so far. Let me know in the comments if you have tried water mixable oils, and please share your experiences and your knowledge with us. Also, if you liked today's video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you're new here. Thank you so much for watching. Take care everyone. Bye bye.